Okay, we are live everywhere. It's 5 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. One of the things we really pride ourselves on is to starting meetups on time and finishing on time. So 5 p.m. it
Wow.
is. And so today's theme is, building engaging communities or building community-based startups. So this is our recurring thing because every other week we end up inviting a lot of awesome founders and professionals who are building communities either for our brands or their businesses. In a way, eChai is also a community-based initiative. So for this particular program, we have Rana who has joined us. He's the founder of DogSpot. He'll be sharing his experiences about how he started up DogSpot. And they ended up building a business and not just it remained a community, it became a community and also a business. So that was awesome. And this particular program is organized by eChai Network. I'm the one of the co-founder of eChai and Rise Mumbai. So we have Nitesh who has joined from Rise Mumbai team. So Nitesh, you'll be able to speak, and Nilesh is also here. Nilesh, can you briefly introduce yourself before we can start with our introductions? If you can introduce yourself, Nilesh. Nilesh, I have allowed you to speak up. Or Nitesh, you will be able to speak up also. Uh, we have Praveen with us also. Praveen, if you can briefly introduce yourself. We'll just take a couple of
Yeah, hello.
introductions. Yes, Praveen.
Yeah, I work as a tech lead in IT company, and I'm also a startup enthusiast and planning to build a community for a niche.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Praveen, for joining in. In case if you have any question, you can ask in the chat or towards the second half, we'll open up our comment section. And those who are watching this video on some of the social
Yeah,
media
sure.
platforms, you can ask in the comments any question that you would have. Nitesh, you will be able to speak. Yes, Nitesh.
Thank
Finally,
you,
we can see
Jatin.
you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Jatin. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another of our event. It is eChai, Building Engaging Community. Before we start with the session, I want to share a little more information about Rise with all of you. We are Rise, the home of fintech in Mumbai. Our Nitesh Nishad community associate at Rise Mumbai. Rise is a global community that connects startups, corporates, and experts around the world of co-create the future of finance service and beyond. Sponsored by Barclays, Rise is at forefront of global and current way of transformation, disrupting and reinvigorating the world of finance led by entrepreneur individuals. We are located globally and excited to have 4 global locations, that is London, New York, Mumbai, and Tel Aviv. We focus on 3 key parts: our events, our accelerator program, and co-creating slash co-innovation space. If you're interested in joining our community, please reach out to us at rise.barclays, that's our website, and have a great evening ahead. Thank you, Jatin, for the
Yes, thank
engagement.
you so much, Nitesh, for joining in. We host a lot of our Mumbai programs with Rise Mumbai. They have fantastic space. The kind of photos that you get from that space is pretty amazing. So, Nitesh, thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you so much, Jatin.
And we'll get started with our session then. Rana, thank you so much again for accepting the invite and being part of it. Rana, if you can just briefly introduce yourself and then we'll get started with our discussions.
Yeah, thank you, Jitin, for having me here. And it is my second time interacting with you. I enjoyed the first time also and loved the session and loved the initiative of eChai. It is a great initiative. I think I'm very excited to know more. I mean, this time I got to know more about eChai and will be, doing more active participation on offline events as well as online. So great. Congratulations for building this. About my introduction, I'm a pet lover from heart, right from my childhood. I wanted to do something related with pets, happened to be an engineer by education, then did my MBA to get more confused. And then I got a job in some internet companies, started my career with India Times, then went to ivivo.com, and then from ivivo went to Aircel, all a digital experience. I started working on DogSpot as a hobby project. The idea was that people who are keeping pets, they can share information about how they manage their pets, which will help other pet owners. And so we created something which was a two-way website. In 2007. It was kind of a Web 2.0 new thing, wherein all other websites were just one-way communication website. And on DocSpot, it was easy for people to come and ask questions and comment and stuff like that. So UGC was a big thing then. And then we kind of, so that is what was the idea. I never thought it will become a business. In 2011, a lot of my friends asked me that you should start e-commerce on it, and then e-commerce started, and then rest followed. So that's been my journey till now. Yeah.
Awesome. So you briefly mentioned this thing, but what was that key trigger to get started with DogSpot? Like you could have started anything else also.
Yeah. So as I said, right from my childhood, I was born and brought up with pets, right? So I used to pick up street puppies, bring them home. I was fortunate enough to have parents who, supported my love for animals. And then what happened is that I started learning about animals, and my father was a professor in veterinary sciences, so he taught me a lot of things. And when I was working with these companies I mentioned, a lot of people, they will get to know somehow that I am into pets, and they will come and talk to me, ask me questions, and I will answer them. And sometimes they will say what to get, how to get this kind of a food, this kind of medicine, etc., etc. So I used to help them in many ways, and then they started motivating me that I should start writing. All the things which I keep telling them, I should start writing. And in those days, Blogspot was very famous, blogspot.google.com.
Yep.
And I thought that I will start writing on Blogspot. And there was a friend of mine, he said, why Blogspot? Let's do DogSpot. So
That's why the name came, right?
that's how the name came. And that is, and then, I was by profession, I was a product manager by then, internet product manager. So I knew how to get how to define a rocket.
Yep.
And then we actually found out somebody who can actually make that rocket. And then it happened. So that is how it started. Yeah.
Brilliant. So what was that first thing you did? Like you went to Blogger, you created a blog, or you created a website?
I created a blogger website on Blogspot, but I was not getting too much motivated to write again and again. And then the core DNA was to have more tools and engage more people. Blogger was more of one guy writing one thing, and very difficult to get people to write on Blogger to get more give access and upload photos, etc. So what I did is that I started looking at the minimal viable product, that can we have one page for blog, one page where people can showcase their dogs, what dogs do they have, and then one place where people can ask questions. So those were 3-4 areas where we started. We said that this can be an MVP, and that is how I made a product requirement document on this, and then contacted a couple of technology guys, and then asked if somebody to make it for us.
Awesome.
Make it for me, basically.
So you being a product manager and being part of internet companies really helped you get jump started, because a lot of people have these ideas and they kind of struggle to figure out a tool or get started with that initial MVP.
Yeah. And you asked me this question, that why did you do this only, right? So I gave you a very long answer. But in short, when I have to really make it very short, I usually say that aur kuch aata hi nahi tha.
Awesome.
Yeah, so ye do cheezein aati thi, so that's what we built.
And then you mentioned that around 2011-12, you seriously kind of started pursuing this.
Yeah, I actually left my corporate life in 2009. I was looking at different types of businesses, like grooming van business for pets and a diagnostic center for pets. And DogSpot was still like a hobby thing for helping the community. Nothing to make money out of it. And then whenever I will go out for raising funds, talking to people, everybody will used to tell me that you have DogSpot, you should focus more on that. Why are you trying to create something else? And then I was not getting very convinced that this can become business. But then I picked up some consulting project here and there just to survive. And then in 2011, I thought that let me do some e-commerce on it and some advertising revenue. So we dribbled around with advertising revenue. It was not that big at that point in time. So then e-commerce was the only way we could think of. One was from the revenue point of view, and another was from the problem solving point of view as well. So it was double down convincing reason that when we started looking at the data, we did the qualitative analysis, and then we found out that a lot of people were looking for products. And it was very, very fragmented. Like, if you're looking for something like a list of 4 or 5 things, you may have to visit 5, 6 different shops to get 5 different products, because ek ke paas ek hai, dusre ke paas nahi hai. So it was very fragmented. So we got that insight, and we thought that why not help the community further. And that is how e-commerce actually started. Okay. And we were actually experimenting, and the orders started pouring because people figured out that there is a link somewhere. Google crawled it.
You found the product market fit then.
Yeah.
And in terms of the community, initially there were your friends who were looking out. So you already had those initial 50, 100 people. When did you realize that it started going outside of your first degree of circle? When did you started seeing those?
No, so to be very honest, it was there were friends and all, but it was not first 100 or 50, like 10, 15, and it is very difficult to motivate them to write stuff on the website, right? And they're not getting anything out of it, right? So what I started looking at that, what are the networks which we can activate. And that, one of the networks was, would have been that pet owners, but how do you get hold of all the pet owners, because there is no construct around them, and you do not have money to pull that construct together. And it was a, part-time thing anyways. There was, then I started looking at, there are pet shops, then there are veterinarians, and then we saw that there are a lot of people who are advanced level pet enthusiasts who are going to the pet events, which were like dog shows, fun events, competitions, etc. And then we thought that these events are very good. Just latch on to these offline events, and then we started creating value for people who were coming to the event, and then we started creating some value for people who were organizing those events. So we gave a lot to the community, and then we started going to these events, click photos, put it on DogSpot. Every Sunday there is one event or the other, so I will go on a Sunday, do the photography, come back.
So when you go to those events, what was your pitch then? Like, what would you tell them that, this is what I do, or what do you do?
So it was, I'll tell you about the first event. So there's a veterinarian who used to do a dog show in Delhi. So I went to him and I said that, what I want to do is that I will come in your show and I will click photos and publish them on my website. So he said that, and how much do we pay for that? I said, nothing. So then he said that, why are you asking me? So I said, because, I will come there, click photos, and I need your permission. He said, as far as you are not charging us, then there is no need of a permission. But if you want, we can help you. If you can, bring some poster, we can put a banner, etc. Because this is what you're going to be doing for free for us. So I said, okay, I will think about it. Then, few days after that conversation, they called me up and then they said that, are you sure you will be coming? I said, yes. They said that, do you have a good camera? I said, yes, I have a good camera. Then they said that, we have also hired a photographer and a videographer. And do you think we can do away with him? We will save some money. And if you want, we will give you more marketing and whatever you need, blah, blah, right? So I was like, kind of invited. It was, those were the days when there were no cameras in mobile phones. People used to forget their real cameras at home, and digital DSLRs were quite a new thing. Facebook was not there as prolific as it is now. So it was a very different era, and we were kind of welcomed everywhere that, there's a great thing you are doing, clicking photos. The next people who were not able to visit those events can go and, check it out next day. That's what happened during that event, right? So that was one big thing. Another big thing which now we realize is that we were actually influencing the influencers. So let's say, you are a pet enthusiast, you're taking your pet to a very nice show, and I click the photo and put it on a website. Right? And it's a big deal, right? Because there is no Facebook, there's no Instagram, and there are no good cameras around. What will you do? You will tell everybody that, hey, my dog is on that website.
Correct.
You see that photo, right? And
People don't get featured.
sorry.
Generally, they themselves don't get featured somewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
They'll be happy that pets are getting featured.
Yeah. So pet becomes very important for them, and then they will tell everybody else. So people will come and visit the website, explore more. We kind of, in those days, we used to get about, I think in the peak of it, we used to get about 14 page views per session. That was an average. Peak, and average yearly was about 8.5. So that was, I mean, to get those kind of pages per session is very, very healthy. And we were actually influencing the influencers, and then they were telling other pet owners that my photo is there watching.
Awesome. So that's how you got started, and you got getting those businesses was one thing. And what are the things you did so that you kept users be on the platform continuously?
Yeah, so it is very interesting that you need to understand the motivation of your community. That what is that one thing which you would like to probably do what is that one thing which you would like to activate your community. I mean, what is that value creation you are doing? So very interestingly, in our domain and any niche cult driven domain, one of the very interesting things which I have observed over a period of time is that people want to influence their fellow experts. Right, so you give them tools to show their knowledge, show that what they have learned over a period of time. It helps them be more confident, gather more knowledge, share it, show it, and that is how I think it gets kicked off. So when people were coming to see the photos, they actually started writing blogs. They started sharing their information, Q&A mein answer karna, questions pushna, all this started happening. So that is what was keeping them engaged on the platform. We were building a lot of tools, Q&A section, and then photos started getting the name of the dogs, their pedigrees of the dog, where was it clicked, all those information started coming in, and then we had comment section, and then people will talk about controversies, people will discuss things and whatnot. So
correct. And at that, you have your own platform also, and there are various social media platforms. So are people in your community in DogSpot, or you are also a Facebook group, WhatsApp group, or Telegram?
No, at that point in time, it was only DogSpot like website. We started working on Facebook page later on. So Facebook now have about our Facebook page is followed by about 5 lakh people, more than 5 lakh people. And now we have a community on Facebook, as well as during the lockdown period, we started doing live sessions on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And till now we have done, like you are doing, we have done, I think 180 live sessions till date since March. We happen to be the largest live session platform for this community globally. And now we have started attracting a lot of experts from outside India also, who are coming and speaking to our audiences and answering questions, queries, giving different perspective. So a lot of people from different types of schools of thoughts, they come and share their knowledge and information. Yeah.
Awesome, friends. I'll keep on asking questions to Rana, but in case if you have any question, those who are live with us on Zoom, you can ask in the chat, or you can just show your hand. I'll enable you to speak up, and those who are watching on social media, you can ask questions over there. So Rana, around 2013-14, this kind of picked up, and you raised funds also. You raised immediately or after some time, or what was that story?
Yeah, fund was an accident. So we were doing business, right? So the idea was to create value, and I used to hear about funding, etc. Was very keen to learn about it, but then what happened is there was one of my bosses in Ivibo, and then later on in Aircel also, he kind of contacted me and said that he would like to invest, and then it was kind of a surprise for me that okay, we are an investable company.
Pehle customer samne se aaye, investor bhi
and then some other friends. Sorry.
Pehle customer samne se aaya, abhi investor samne se aaya.
मेहनत करनी पड़ती है बहुत अपने आप तो कोई नहीं आता so that is how it happened. And then some other friends also said that okay, if he's investing, I will also invest. And some ex-colleagues who have seen me working, building something, people who believed in the idea, believed in me, they invested some money. And then so I think 3-4 rounds in the beginning happened like that, right? Very, very small, but friends and their friends and their friends. So, and then India Quotient invested, and then Ronnie invested, Mr. Tata invested. So we have been very lucky to get investment from a lot of entrepreneurs. We have seen a lot of cycles of ups and downs now. It's been a while. It's a small industry. So large investors usually shy away of investing in this domain just because large industry size wala checkbox tick nahi hota hai. So then we realized that maybe the VCs may not invest, but we can actually build a nice good business out of it. So,
Correct.
So that is where we are.
In terms of community, what were those challenges you faced in the first 2-3 years? That,
Yeah, challenges is like, because you are learning while you are building it. So there is a lot of confusion. And I kind of now interact with a lot of startups, and I find that one thing is that ownership of the community, right? So whether it is run by the community, but who sets the rule? Who is the owner of the community, right? There has to be a boss, right? So in the beginning, you lack that confidence. And then you will let it happen, and then you will realize कि यार इसको पहले control करना चाहिए था, यार इसको ऐसे करना चाहिए था, यहाँ पे ज़्यादा ऐसे करना चाहिए था, right? So because you are thinking that it is UGC and there are the people who are running it, etc. But you need to own it and say it. No, this is not the way. This is the way it will run. I mean, it has to have a personality. It cannot keep happening. It cannot keep changing the personality of. We cannot just let it happen, right? So I feel that that is one thing that it takes a while to get that confidence level and say that this is my garden and this is how I'm going to run it. So that is one. Second is, of course, funding होती नहीं है, पैसा वैसा नहीं होता है, तो वो मतलब वो तो I think entrepreneur की life में
it's ongoing
struggle है, तो वो तो सब समझते ही होंगे. Fundraising is very challenging in particularly in niche categories and niche setups and niche businesses. It's a niche industry. We were very, very conscious that we should not become niche of niche, which is even more small. So that has been a big challenge. I think that is another one. The last, which I think is very generic to I think all the startups, is to get the right people. Very challenging, right? So मैं किसी कॉलेज में एक बार टॉक देने गया था, वहाँ पे पूछ रहे थे कि नौकरी कैसे लगती है. मैं कहता हूँ यार अच्छे लोग कैसे मिलते हैं, मतलब come at the other side of the table and you realize. So these are some of the generic things which we have faced. Luckily, we did not face any issue with technology. A lot of startups face that just because I had that background of understanding of internet technology and product management. So that was we were quite lucky, I would say.
And when you're building a community, sometimes you have to come up with a lot of new ideas, so that the old guys don't feel that it's the same thing. So you continuously come up with something interesting. So in your journey, what are those top 2-3 ideas or initiatives that worked out really well for you?
So see, we never started with a photography thing. So that was one thing. It came to my mind because I went to an event and I asked people that who clicks the photos, etc. And I found out that there's a huge gap. I clicked some photos and just told them by word of I just told them that there is one website I run, and then we saw a little blip. So what I feel is that you need to keep a tap on your customer analytics. You need to know your community very, very well. So that photo thing did a huge job for us. Then e-commerce was a big change. Right, and then we started looking at that. What are those products which people are not getting, and what are the gap areas in specific categories, and then we introduce the right products. So those are some of the 2-3 things which we learned from the community only to give it back to the community. So,
and sometimes when you start a community, you're open, like if you do, you have those ideals, very clearly defined. Sometimes then you face a problem and you find your niche and then you follow on that. What was that your journey like? Like what was your message in 2012, 2014? What are you saying in 2020? Anything has evolved?
So from the belief point of view, nothing has evolved, right? So we are very clear. So that is how we see our community, that we are here to help people celebrate their pets. And this is what, we have been saying from day one, that, we will help you have more fun with your pet, just because we will be able to provide you everything around it, right? Whether that is information, whether that is help, information related help, discussions, right products, etc., etc. Right? So that the core has always been the same. We have been working on a lot of different types of products, physical products as well as digital products, and we always have to be on our toes. So, for example, with the times changing, we had to latch on to Facebook and create the whole community experience on Facebook, because we understand that what we were in 2007 and in 2020. Things have really changed. I mean, we need to understand that there are mobile phones, video is the next big thing. You just cannot keep writing, blogging, that is more secondary. Video, live sessions, real-time information, real questions, real answers, all those things are pretty to 2020, and you need to keep pace with time. I'm also been, we are evolving to build that community experience on Facebook and WhatsApp and other tools. So what you were asking is that in 2007 there were no such tools. We had to build everything from the scratch, but now we have Facebook and we need to evolve.
Yep. And this February pandemic happened. So what changed in your business?
Yeah, huge change. I think so. What we thought, that while video is a new thing, so we started, putting a studio together, asking people to come interview offline, right? So going there to their places, featuring Q&A interviews, some interesting videos, etc. That's what we were up to. But from COVID time, it is only live. Correct. So we are doing lot of Facebook lives, Instagram live, and the whole model of e-commerce has evolved from a warehouse model to a dropship model, because we cannot have 2 stops of the products to come in and then go. So I think overall that has changed. Another thing is that we also started market consulting business on digital transformation, because we found that in our industry there will be a huge need of people to go digital, and we thought that we are the best guys to tell our fellow partners that how can they do digital transformation for their products, services, etc. So that is another thing which we started during the COVID.
Awesome. It's 5:30, so we'll take up some of the participant questions. So Nilesh, Vijay, Praveen, who are live with us right now, in case if you have any questions, you can speak up. I'll also check out the live comments. I'll pick up some of the questions from there. Vijay, Praveen, Nilesh, Nitesh, do you have any question? Else I'll continue with the series of questions that I have for Rana. Rana, you are building a community. Which are the other community-based businesses that you like, that we get inspired by?
Yeah, very good question. So, from the product management point of view, I have seen LinkedIn. I mean, in those days, I used to follow LinkedIn, the way they were bringing the features, asking you to add more information on your profile, all those things. That is very interesting. Then I have seen a lot of startup communities. They have done very well, and I have seen that changing face of niches happening in the startups. Earlier, there used to be a startup Sunday and nothing else. And now you see that if you are into D2C, you have a different community. If you are getting fintech, then you have a different community.
Correct.
And that is a huge evolution that we have seen from the startup Sundays or Saturday. It used to be startup Saturday, something like that, right? One event, and once in a while, everybody will come and speak about everything. Now we have, those niches. That's the big evolution which we have seen. So those are, some of the things which I have seen. I think one community which I think came later, I have been admiring it, is Pagal Gai. They're doing a great job. Then Parent Tune, amazing, community stuff they are doing. One community I've been a very, very big fan of is from my engineering days, is IEEE, which is an offline community, which is huge.
Massive.
And yeah, massive, right? And I think one of the most money-making communities around.
Yes.
Those are some of the examples. Yeah.
Praveen has asked this question. Did you got funding just because of e-commerce features? Was other revenue streams attracted investors?
It was e-commerce. I mean, 2011 is when we got the funding. 2011, yeah, 11, 12. It was high time for e-commerce. Niche e-commerce was rising. Flipkart was just there. So I think e-commerce is what attracted the investors.
Okay. Nitesh, Praveen has already asked. Vijay, in case if you have any questions, I'll run through with the questions that I have for Rana. Rana, when you started, you're building a content plus commerce, was people were talking about it, and probably this could be the future. In 2020, community, content, commerce, they are the red hot industries to be part of. So
Yeah.
any different thing you experience, like the people are responding more to your business now, or anything that you observed?
Yeah, commerce, I feel that, Amazon is going to dominate in the commerce bit. Elephant in the room, we cannot ignore it, right? So we were, when we got funded, we were leading the market. But when Amazon started striving, and then I think Amazon came in 13, 14 with the full, this thing. And then we realized that this battle we cannot fight with, they have deep pockets and one of the best talents, and they can attract whatever they want. So we decided that we are not playing that game. So we went into private label and started selling on Amazon. And did a part. I mean, we started seeing them as a partner, right? But what content and community give us is the edge to understand the consumer better and customer better. So one of the most important and the most difficult things about this category is that the consumer never speaks, and the customer is actually influenced by a lot of other people, like friends, veterinarians, groomer, trainers, etc. So being connected to community gives you the edge to understand that what is happening around, how is the relationship between consumer and customer. What is that relationship? How does it work? And gives us an edge to explore new products, new services, doing the content right, promoting the right product to the right customer, etc. So those are some of the learnings.
Yep. Nitesh has this question for you. Do you think it is important to have rules in corporate life?
Rules in corporate life.
Nitesh, can you give more context about it, or do you follow any rules in your startup life, or you've been part of corporates also, or anything you can answer to this question?
So discipline, I can say discipline, maintain some kind of decorum in our one-on-one. So that kind of rules we have to follow to ongoing one-on-one session and something like that. On day-to-day wise, we have to maintain decorum, we have to maintain discipline, something like this. So Rana, what kind of, it is important to have those kind of rules, or we just have to follow our own instance?
Yeah, so Nitesh, I feel that I have seen a lot of startups who will start and then stop working in a few months or maybe a year, or ask them a few questions about the core business. They will be clueless, right? That what what's happening. So what I've seen is that a lot of people say that I want my freedom, and that's why I would like to do something of my own. Wherein I feel it is even more. You need to have huge self-discipline to run a startup. You need to check on the costs and revenues and how team is doing, what are we doing next, almost on day-to-day basis. People do not I do not know how to say it, but a lot of people do not value these very basic things like sincerity, responsibility, discipline, self-discipline, making an MIS, daily sales report, daily cost report. Those kind of things I think are very, very important. These are very basics, and have they should be taken care of. Another thing which a lot of entrepreneurs they completely ignore is the health side. They will not do an insurance on time, and they will not take care of themselves. So I think those are some of the very basic things which we all know, but we fail to follow. I am not sure why. Maybe there is too much of hustle. Maybe there is a lack of self-discipline. Maybe there's an attitude that I'll do it later. Maybe it is because of the freedom. There is no boss on top of your head. So you need to do a lot of self-discipline. I think that is something which is very important.
Yes, thank you so much, Rana.
Yes.
We are into the last 10 minutes of the discussion. So
Okay.
Rana, there are a lot of startups who are trying to build community-based businesses, and at the same time, a lot of businesses are trying to get into the community side of their products or businesses. So what would be your advice to those people? What should they do so that they can be successful community leaders?
Yeah, I think what I have seen is that people who understand community, they build community anywhere and everywhere. I mean, they do not need a proper website or lot of money. I mean, I'm sure, Jatin, with your experience, you can, if you want to build a startup community in a city, you can just do it, right? So a lot of people think that community needs a lot of money, that it needs a lot of people to create content, get the right people, etc., etc. But I think it has to grow very naturally, and you just need to just keep paddling on the right things, which is value creation for every stakeholder in the community. It cannot be just one way, right? So there has to be some kind of a value creation, that even if I'm answering the question or somebody's asking, then what is that I get out of it, right? So maybe more learning, maybe better questions, more intelligent stuff, maybe in form of some money, credit, know-how, PR. Probably I've seen that a lot of people just do the community stuff just for the sake of PR, and as soon as you put money onto the community, then it does not really work. That's what I have seen. If you will ask me that, Rana, I will give you $2,000 to come and speak, or $10,000 to come and speak to startup community. I mean, it does not really work like that, right? So so a lot of business people, they think that it is the money which is going to drive people, but I think it is that 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 kick you get out of it when you help somebody, when that you have accomplished something by helping someone, by telling something, by sharing knowledge. That is the main ingredient of it. Another thing is that for business, for communities who are trying to build the business, I would say do not hurry up. You need to give it time for it to become strong. Then your community, your itself will tell you that how to build the business. If you will ask them that this something which you think we can do, and would you like to pay for this, etc., etc. So or you can just read about do some qualitative research, some quantitative research. What are people doing? Be very, very good at some analytical tools. Then you would get to know that what's happening, and then you can build some kind of a business out of it.
Awesome. We have another ongoing series. We call it learnings from failures. So any one specific mistake or a failure that you experienced, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, I am not a very big fan of failures actually. I mean, there is a lot of hype around failures. I do not see it. I mean, that is how life is, right? So we make mistakes, and it's a learning most of the times.
So any one particular thing, something you tried in a way, then you realize, and then that worked out really well, or anything you can.
I don't know, yaar. I mean, it's been a very I've never thought like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, and I always feel that it is no point thinking about and regretting it in the past, right? And I see it more like a learning, and so I would like to skip that. Sorry, I mean, it's not coming to my mind. So
No, that's totally fine. I'll move on to the next one. If you were to get a superpower to become a better founder or a community leader, what would that you would look for?
same thing, right? With more power. I have no regrets of what I did.
You just need
So
10x
would
it or
like
100x
to
it.
1000x. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what is the book you're reading recent or you read that you would like to recommend to other founders?
I have been again and again reading one same book, which is by Ben Horowitz. I think I read 2-3 times, which is called Hard Thing About Hard Things. And I now remember each page number, what is on what. It's like a Bible for entrepreneurs. Very nice book, Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Awesome. And you mentioned about the team. So as a community, you are passionate about pets and since your childhood. So you have that empathy towards everybody. How do you make sure that your team also has the same set of values that you have for building this business or a community?
Yeah, so we see it very differently. Some of the team members are very passionate, and they are in the team just because they're passionate about the subject. We hired them without even thinking of that, what they will do in the company. Only criteria was that they knew about pets very, very well, right? So we call them subject matter specialists and pet experts, they are actually involved in almost every business process, from customer care, operations, product catalog, community, talking about a particular product with customers, introduction of new things, content generation, editorials, all those things. These guys are so that's a separate team altogether. I mean, they get involved everywhere. And then we have experts. I mean, when we are talking about somebody who's a digital marketer, or somebody who is an operations expert, then even if he's not a passionate pet person, then we don't mind getting them on board. So that is how we have built the team.
Yep. You started it as a hobby, then you got a lot of prominent investors, some of the most well-known entrepreneurs from India. So what's your long shot with DogSpot?
So it is very simple, Jatin. This industry is growing by 25% CAGR, right? It's world's one of the fastest growing pet industry is the Indian pet industry. US, I think, is about sub 5%, and UK around same percentage growth. So that means that this industry actually doubles every 3-4 years, right? And you will see different numbers in different reports. And when we see outside in the market, there are signs of industry growing are very, very evident. I mean, number of pet shops, number of dogs around you, pet dogs around you, everything is increasing. So very simple thumb rule is that even if you do not do anything and you survive, right, you will be double every 4 years, which is not bad, right? So having said that, right, I feel that in next 10 years, we are working on some products which are not out in the market yet, which are like massive products. They should be able to give us some good revenues, and those products are such that we can go global with those products. And I feel we will put India at an international stage for this industry in next 5 years, I think. Yeah, that's what is.
Thank you so much. And this is the last part. So typically ending Zoom call is very tricky. So what we do is that think of this as a university class, and this now is the time for the convocation. Okay. And you are a chief guest at this convocation. You have to deliver your convocation message in just one line. So the moment you finish your one line, I'll end this call.
Okay. So if you are thinking of being an entrepreneur, then that is inside you. You just need to think how an entrepreneur thinks to solve the problems. Start solving the problems, and your entrepreneurship starts from today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rana, and thank you so much everyone for joining in. See you on the other class. From tomorrow, we are starting our physical meetups in Estonia. So that is, hopefully, we'll be able to start in every city that we have a chapter on.